Please join with me. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord, we come before you as parents, assuming the responsibility that you have entrusted to us. We want to raise our children to be closer to you and to those talents you have given them. We thank you for the gifts that we are given to share with our children. We thank you for the many mentors that you send their way to help us in our task. We thank you for the solid structure of their school that provides a caring and nurturing environment. But mostly, we thank you for your presence in this school. Lord, we ask that as with the care your mother provided for you, we too may be offered as her mantle as she continues to guide our school. Lord, we offer this prayer as a humble thanks for the inconceivable surprise you provide called life. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. It is now my pleasure to introduce Courtney Mitchell and Becky Murphy, who are going to be co-presidents of our Mothers Club.
Good evening. My name is Beth Murphy. This is my good friend Courtney Mitchell, and this is our first event as presidents of the Mothers Club. So this is our first time giving this spiel. I hope it's okay. I see some familiar faces out there, so I know some of you aren't first-time parents, and maybe you know everything there is to know about the Mothers Club, but Courtney and I don't. So we're going to try to tell you something about it. We are mothers, the two of us. I have a 2011 graduate, Joe, who's at Indiana University. I have an incoming senior, Bridget, and a he'll be a sophomore son, Sean. So what is the Mothers Club? Officially, it's an organization of Cathedral moms, or parents, who provide volunteer and financial support to further the Cathedral mission. Now, what does that mean? Well, all year long, from the new parent coffee on freshman orientation day to commencement in May to the summer neighborhood meetings that you'll be going to this summer, we provide the hospitality that we hope gives you a warm welcome to Cathedral High School. For the teachers, through our bowling league, we raise money that goes to provide grants so the teachers can provide a little extra in the classrooms for the students. We also provide the teachers with some luncheons throughout the year, both Founders Day and a Christmas luncheon. And for students, we even give them valet parking during prom night and a little refreshment during finals week. So yes, we will ask on you to volunteer for these events. But after the work ends, we do have some fun. There's lots of social events where you can meet other parents. There is, of course, the bowling league, and we'll tell you more about that later. There's a September dinner where we all gather for a nice dinner at a nice place and listen to little cathedral music and hear a speaker. There's the Chicago bus trip, which last year was an overnight. You could stay overnight or you could just spend the day. We had a big Christmas party at the home of one of our cathedral parents. She opened up her beautiful home to about 60, 70 of us. And then we have, for the spiritual side, we have every year an evening of reflection. So these are fabulous ways to get to know other parents, as well as get involved in the school. And now, Courtney's going to tell a little bit more about how you can find out a little bit more about the Mothers Club.
Yes, thanks. I'm Courtney Mitchell, and I have two daughters. My oldest daughter just graduated a couple of weeks ago. A little bit bittersweet, but it's been a great 4 years. And my youngest daughter will be a sophomore in Sean's class. So I'm really excited, and Beth and I are excited to start this. I can't encourage enough for you all to learn more about Mothers Club. Not just mothers, but dads too. The great thing about our group is that it really is sort of a microcosm of Cathedral High School, that you will find moms and dads from all over the city. We're from the Near East Side, parishioners at Our Lady of Lourdes in Irvington, but members of our group come from all over the city. And I remember as a freshman mom, I didn't attend Cathedral as a student. I didn't live very near the school. I didn't have much association with the school, and I was a little bit nervous just about how I would get to know people or get involved or know what was going on. And the best thing that I did was go to my first Mother's Club meeting, because I met moms who have been here forever and, put 6 kids through Cathedral over the last 20 years. And I met moms who are brand new like I was, and everywhere in between. So it's so important to meet other people so that you feel like you're part of the family, because we're all part of the family. And we want to invite all of you to join. So please check out the website, gocathedral.com, and click on Parents. You can like us on Facebook, Cathedral Mothers Club. Hopefully you picked up one of these cards out in the lobby. And then you can access all of our events, find out everything that we do, and how we're going to need your help to get it done. So we're so excited to see all of you here. We're going to be around the whole meeting if you have any questions. This is perfect for all of you. I know every one of you, I imagine, volunteered at your elementary school in some form or another. This is no different from that. So please, stick around. We'll be happy to talk to you. Next, we would like to introduce Wayne Emery. Oh, I'm sorry. Beth has one more thing to say. She needs to make a plug for the bowling.
Yes, as I said before, we have a bowling league that I don't even know how long it's been around. I found a little, I guess, bylaws from Mothers Club. It was typewritten from 1959, but I don't know how long the bowling league's been around. So we have a special event coming where on a Tuesday afternoon, June 18th, we're going to meet at the Hindle Bowl, not far from here, just a short drive. So you can come and meet other mothers. You can meet some of the Mothers Club officials. Courtney and me, we have an executive board. There'll be some bowling games. We hope you sign up to bowl, but you don't have to. We're going to find out. We're going to learn more about the Mothers Club and have some fun. We're going to raffle off one of the trips to Chicago that I talked about and have some spirit shop gift certificates and some refreshments. So I really hope as many of you as possible can stop by. I think it's between noon and 2:30 on June 18th in the bowl. Get a little bowling action maybe. And there's some flyers out on the table too, along with the website information. So we hope to see you on June 18th. Thank you.
And it's not about bowling, so you should come and meet people too. It's also a little about bowling. So we'd like to introduce Mr. Wayne Emery, our Vice President of Enrollment Management.
You never tell their rookies at this. They're wonderful. So I can just give a plug for Mothers Club. I had a house fire several years ago, like 9 years ago, and I will never be able to repay the Mothers Club for the support that bowling ended up providing financially for my family. It's one of those many things I'll never be able to repay to this place. So shout out to Mothers Club and bowling, and get involved. Well, I've met most of you along the way. If I haven't, shame on me. But I'm thrilled to be the person who serves as our Vice President for Enrollment Management here at Cathedral High School. Down here in front is Nick Torres. Nick is on videography tonight, so he's an adjunct member of the marketing staff tonight. But Nick Torres is our Assistant Director for Enrollment Management. Many of you have met him along the way. And then Mary Beth Cloud is our Enrollment Management Assistant. She's not here tonight, but we are the Enrollment Management team, and we're certainly we're thrilled to welcome you along with the rest of the Cathedral family to this school. Before I get started with some remarks I'd like to share, I would like for those of you who have your first ever child at Cathedral High School to take a moment and stand up, please. While I know the audience might be a little bit skewed because the folks who have been here once or twice or 5 other times might choose not to be here tonight, I hope that what that illustrates is that there's this myth out there that you have to be previously very connected to Cathedral High School to be here, and we've just disproven that yet again. I want to talk a little bit about the class of 2017 that your incoming freshman is joining, or technically has joined, especially if you're already here for summer school. The class right now has 318 students in it. Our target was 315 to 320, so we're kind of right in the middle of that target range. And this class is yet another example, great example, of the diversity of backgrounds in our school community. Right now, the students come from 70 different schools. 31 of your students are brave souls in that they're the only student coming from their school. So if you have one of those students and they say, I'm the only person who didn't know anyone coming to Cathedral, tell them there are 30 others just like that. We have students coming from all over the city. We have a young lady whose family is relocating from Atlanta, Georgia. We're working with a family from Connecticut that might end up joining us. We're working with a family that currently resides in Brazil, not the little town in west central Indiana, but a little place a little south of here. They are originally from El Salvador. So, this class is going to probably get more diverse. But Murphy's Law and Father Pat Kelly, when he was alive, would tell you that if you live in Brownsburg, your child's best friend will probably be from New Powell. It just works out that way. Parents who've been here can attest to that. Your students come from all walks of life. They have all kinds of talents. They are strong academically. They are musicians. They're actors. They're volunteers. They are all kinds of things. They're student athletes. They will do a number of things, and they will do things here that they've never imagined doing, and that's one of the beauties of this place. We are blessed to be able to share them with you for 4 years, and I know that while they're here, they're going to grow spiritually, intellectually, socially, emotionally, and physically, just like our mission statement says they will do. They will form lifelong friendships. Mr. Warland's son is getting married pretty soon. 11 people on each side of the wedding party. 10 on each side. So 20 out of 22, plus the bride and groom, are Cathedral graduates.
Oh, wow.
It just happens a lot. You will, as parents, though, have the opportunity to share in this experience. We certainly welcome and we almost require your participation in this process. You had an opportunity as you walked in tonight to sign up for volunteer activities. You have the opportunity as you leave tonight to sign up for volunteer activities. But tonight's not the only night, trust me. How can you continue to help the school beyond that? Certainly you can tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, etc. about the positive experiences you're having here. You're going to be getting information from Mr. Warland. Feel free to pass it on to prospective families. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Like our posts on Facebook. Retweet our newsworthy tweets. Those kinds of things. Because your friends are watching what you're doing. And if you're having a great experience, you all can be some of the most powerful ambassadors for our school. So we hope that you'll do that. Come help us at open house, help host an information night. If you want to be involved in hosting information nights, just call me, trust me. We'll put you to work as an admissions ambassador for us. You're going to get a lot of information here tonight. It's going to be like drinking out of the busy end of the fire hose. But if you only remember one thing, just know that we're delighted to have you here. We can't wait to have your young people immerse themselves in the Cathedral experience. This is that first night. I told one parent tonight, this is where our office begins to take the first little snip at the cord between our office and your families. But this is really a multi-year relationship. There are people in this room that can attest to the fact that we still stay in touch over many years. And we like that, but we also will begin to redirect you more frequently to other offices because it's important that you begin those relationships as well. And that really begins in earnest tonight, so we kind of pass you off tonight. But it's just a change in our relationship, not a dissolution of that relationship, okay? So please, if you have questions after tonight, contact Nick, Mary Beth, and or me. Again, God bless you. God bless your children. We're thrilled to have you all here at Cathedral High School. I forget who's next because I don't have the program. Dave Warland. Mr. Warland, our principal, is next. I forgot to bring the program. Dave Warland, principal of Cathedral High School.
It just seemed appropriate that I would come up because, as he said, kind of snipping that cord, you've now get turned over to those of us that will be with your sons and daughters and children that become part of this Cathedral family. And what I'll do is introduce one of these members of the family. Very few of us will be the teachers that are in the classroom with your children, and those are the people who will be mostly affecting not only the knowledge, but the whole holistic experience that your children have in those 4 years. And you'll see and hear a lot more about the teachers as we go on. But this is really a night for the teachers, although we got a lot of teachers here, which is really neat. They just come on their own. So we're looking forward to that. We make a lot of promises. You wouldn't be sitting here today if one of us in this group, whether it was the Mother's Club, or teachers, administrators, or staff people, didn't say, why don't you come to Cathedral, check it out. And you've checked us out. You've been at open houses, you've been at events, you've been at walk in the halls during the school day, those kind of things. So what you've heard, what you've seen, we take it very serious that we're going to actually deliver all that you've heard about and all that we've mentioned and more. There's not enough that we can say that we want to fulfill all of your expectations because we know they're high. You wouldn't be making the kind of commitments that you're making if you didn't have high expectations for your sons and daughters to be a part of something really special. So we thank you for that from the bottom of our hearts, and we look forward to not only the 4 years, but for some of you, hopefully multiple years. So I get to introduce Ramona Powell. She's our Director of Diversity and also our Minority Student Services. So let's welcome Mrs. Powell.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have the wonderful opportunity to serve as the Director of Diversity and Minority Student Services. And so I want to just share a little information with you and also let you know that my door is always open, not just for our students, for our parents, as well as our faculty and staff, because that's what we do here. You'll hear more about diversity initiatives that are happening, but I would like to quickly share with you that while there are so many different identifiers relative to diversity, we kind of focus on about 5 key areas. But we also go beyond those as we need to go beyond them. And that's our academic diversity, which many of you are aware of. We have different levels of diversity, our socioeconomic diversity, as well as our racial and ethnic diversity, geographic diversity, which Mr. Emery pointed out. Your child lives in one side of town, the best friend will be on the other side of town. And that's because of our geographic diversity. And also our religious diversity. While we're a Catholic school, we do welcome students from all backgrounds and also that serve in different faiths. I believe that in order for us to be successful in our diversity initiatives, we have to make sure that we're continually building relationships and that we're growing in our communication and sustaining the things on a daily basis. And when that can happen, then our diversity flows a lot easier. We get to understand and appreciate the reason we are involved in diversity and why it's an important part of our everyday lives. I have the opportunity when freshmen come here to have some dialogue with them through various sessions. And one of the questions I like to ask is, what do you know about diversity? How do you define it? What it is not? What has been your experience with it? And how can you help us here at Cathedral grow our diversity and make it such an initiative that everyone shares in and benefits from it? Relative to supporting our faculty and staff, one of the things I want to do to help them to be successful in what they do every day is make sure that I can identify resources, support, and opportunities where they may be able to infuse some multiculturalism into their existing curriculum. Because we're such a diverse school, we want to make sure that every student has an opportunity to see themselves or hear themselves in the classroom from time to time. Also, in my role as diversity director, I have the opportunity to have special initiatives for our minority students. And when I talk about minority students, it's not just ethnic or racially from a minority standpoint, because there are different things that go to make us all up. And sometimes it can be a student that comes from a school where maybe they've always been the majority, and now they find themselves in the school where they're a minority. So we want to make sure that we're addressing those concerns, that we're meeting their needs, and that they always feel comfortable in terms of their sense of ownership at Cathedral, and that everyone is here working for their success over their 4-year career here. We want to retain every student that has a desire to be here, and and diversity is one of the keys that helps us do that. You'll also find that just transitioning to Cathedral, being a private school, it's culturally different in a lot of ways, that if I can help support families and understand those differences, then they have a smoother transition to our family as well. We have what we call our multicultural club, which we call Cafe Club, which stands for Cultural Awareness for Everyone. And I encourage you to encourage your students to come and check us out, because there they get to have opportunity to have panel discussions, talk about those key topics they're facing today, as well as get to know their fellow students a lot better from a different perspective. And we all want to be culturally competent here. That is our goal each and every day, that we learn more about someone's culture other than our own. And lastly, I'd like to say that I'm so thankful that in our Holy Cross charisms, we have one that stands out relative to our inclusiveness and our diversity. And it states, when we talk about inclusiveness and diversity, it is the call to be intentional in our thoughts and consideration of others, regardless of our differences. Enjoy Cathedral, and we thank you for choosing us. This time I have the privilege of introducing our Vice Principal of Academic Affairs, Mrs. Lisa Poole.
Thank you. Unlike my colleagues, I need a script because if you put me in front of a crowd of people, give me about 15 seconds and we'll talk about the law cosines or something. So I am going to read from the script. Thank you so much, first of all, for being here. You're probably a little bit like your kids are on the first day of school. You're getting bombarded with information. Just like we tell the kids, though, please ask questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question, so you're going to have time at the end of the program to ask. So please do. And thank you for sharing your children with us. We're humbled by your confidence and trust. It doesn't matter how many years we do this. We're just so honored to be able to serve you and your children. Our English department, the chairman of the department couldn't be here this evening, and so they asked me to relay this following message concerning summer reading. These are the words of Mrs. Kathy Keys. Because our world is changing so quickly, we really have no way of knowing what skills or technology students will need to learn over the course of their lifetimes. When we were in high school, few could have imagined the technology we use on a daily basis. Therefore, the best we can do is equip our students with skills that will allow them to meet the challenges of the future with confidence, and two of those skills are reading and writing. The only way the students will improve their reading skills is to read at a challenging level. We expect all students to have to grapple with the material they are reading. So if they complain that the reading is too hard, parents should remind them that they may need to read the material a second or a third time in order to understand it. Summer reading will be the first major English assignment of the year. It is important that the students have these books early enough in the summer to read them. The students should also take notes over their reading. Parents may want to ask questions about the books. Who is the main character? What is the setting of the book? What is happening in the book? By encouraging your children to read and not to rely on non-academic resources such as Cliff Notes or Spark Notes, parents are supporting the efforts of their teachers to prepare their children for the rigors of college and for their lives as lifelong learners. All of the summer reading information is available on our website. Okay, now that I've shared the English news, it's time to talk about my favorite thing, math. If your child was enrolled in an algebra course this past year, then he or she has recently taken the end of course assessment, the Algebra 1 ECA. Please send me a copy of the official score report as soon as you receive it, if your child passed the test. We do not automatically move kids who pass the test into geometry. This decision is made on an individual, child-by-child basis after a conversation between you and me. Based on our prior experiences, we strongly encourage students who score below 700 or significantly below 700 to consider retaking algebra with us, perhaps at a higher level. That foundation in Algebra 1 is critical, and so it's important that we're all confident that a child is ready to move on. One more subject-related point, we will be giving one additional proficiency test for students who wish to test out of geometry or the first year of a foreign language. That date is Tuesday, June 18th at 9 o'clock. If your child is interested in that opportunity, please register for the test by visiting the academics page of the website or by calling school. While we expect our high school students to be independent and responsible, the Cathedral experience should involve your entire family. We want you to be involved. Never hesitate to call or email a teacher, a counselor, an administrator, or any other adult in the building. Be sure to put August 22nd on your calendar. That is Meet the Teacher Night. You will follow your child's schedule, meet all of his or her teachers, and learn about the expectations and rewards of being a member of each classroom. The evening begins at 7, but please count on coming a little early, as we always have a very large crowd that evening. Power School, our web-based student management system, will allow you to stay up to date with your students' academic progress, attendance, and discipline. Your contact person for any Power School questions or problems is Mr. Raleigh Landeros, who will be speaking a little later in the program. In addition, your child's teachers are required to post their assignments on their web pages. I do have a couple of favors to ask, though, when it comes to Power School. Our teachers are required to update their online gradebooks every 2 weeks, but most do it as the grades come in. Sometimes circumstances arise and a teacher might not post grades as frequently. If you feel that a teacher has not updated grades within a reasonable amount of time, please email that teacher. Feel free to copy the department chair if you wish. There might come a day when you go to Power School and discover that your child earned an F on that day's 5-point math quiz. You will see an F, but do not panic. Remember that missing 2 out of 5 will result in an F, but in the big scheme of the whole quarter, a 5-point quiz isn't a big deal. If you see a grade, an attendance issue, or a discipline issue that concerns you, please talk to your child before you contact the teacher. If further discussion of the grade is necessary, it is best that conversation begins with the teacher and the student. Speaking of grades, your kids are going to be pushed to their maximum potential. We have high expectations in every facet of life at Cathedral. Our grading scale is 93, 85, 77, 70, but hundreds of our students continue to make the high honor roll and the regular honor roll. The teachers here will go the extra mile for any student who has demonstrated the willingness to put in the extra effort. That brings me to my last point, which those of you whom I've taught or those of you with older children have heard me say many times before. Whenever I speak with students in my own classroom, I ask them to do 3 things. Be prompt, be present, be prepared. If we all do those 3 things every single day, we are as close to guaranteed academic success as we can be. Thanks again for being here tonight. It is truly a privilege to serve you and your children. And now to say a few words about our International Baccalaureate program are our 2 co-directors, Mrs. Elizabeth Bradshaw and Mr. Harold Spooner.
Hi, my name is Harold Spooner and I teach psychology here, and like Mrs. Ford said, me and Liz are co-IB coordinators here at Cathedral High School. We have many great academics and clubs and athletics and all that stuff here at Cathedral High School, and what Liz and I would like to do is kind of get the word out about what International Baccalaureate Program, or IB, is for short. So I have a couple minutes to try to explain to you what IB is, and if you've never heard of it before, it's almost impossible to do it in 2 minutes, but I'm going to do my best. Essentially what IB, the goal of the IB diploma program is it's to create culturally competent, internationally minded learners through a comprehensive education model. And for better or worse, IB kind of gets compared to AP a lot because they're both kind of upper level classes. I know we have a lot of students here who take AP level classes. I teach 150 of them in psychology alone. So I know a lot of our students are already taking these higher level courses. And we'd just like to let you know that IB is an available option as well. Some of the differences kind of between the AP and the IB. APs, you can kind of select certain courses, like you can take only AP Psych, or you can take only AP Calculus if you're really strong in math, or whatever it might be. The IB diploma program, that's a little bit more comprehensive. Like I said, you would take IB subjects across the board. So you would take IB Math, IB Science, IB History, IB English, IB Language. So you're taking the courses that you already be taking, but you'd be taking them at an IB level. And kind of the main curricular difference between AP and IB is it's a lot more open-ended, if you will. From a psychology perspective, the AP psychology test is 100 multiple choice and 2 free response, whereas the IB psychology test is 5 essays. It's more saying, tell us what you know. So it's looking to get a little more international-minded, a little more open-minded type questions for the students to just write and let the graders or the readers put down on paper what exactly it is they know instead of having to kind of memorize terms and stuff and what have you. I'm not saying one is better than the other. Like I said, I teach both myself, but as far as the IB curriculum is concerned, Liz is about to tell you about the benefits of taking the program, but we just kind of want to let you know from the start that IB is an option if your students want to take some upper level classes when they get into their junior and senior year. And if you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask either me or Liz or Mr. Willen or anybody else about our IB diploma program, and we'll get some answers out to you. So here's Liz with some benefits for taking IB.
Thanks, Harold. So I'm Elizabeth Bradshaw, and aside from being a co-coordinator, I teach English at the higher level in the IB program. And can I just see a show of hands? I know nobody likes to participate on the first day of school, but if you have heard the term IB or International Baccalaureate before Harold just said it. Yay! Wonderful. Okay. I'm glad you've heard it, Mr. Will. Okay. I just wanted to speak for a couple of minutes about why it's good for students now and why it's good for students in their future. It's good for students now in high school for many reasons. One thing is it's a very small program, which when you're coming to this new overwhelming experience of a big high school like Cathedral, it's nice to have small classes and find a niche, whether it's your soccer or your arts, what have you. So we have currently 10 students enrolled as diploma students. So we're talking about a very small number of students, but we are really hoping to grow that. On top of those 10 students, we have a number of certificate students in all the various IB courses. So whether your student, you think, would want to do a diploma or not, they still might want to do a certificate. But what is the program? Why is it so great? I think that the best way to explain that is to hear from our students. I wrote down a few of their testimonials. And this was from my English class. What I like about IB is how the learning in this class is not black and white, and that we are free to really delve into the things from our novels that interest us and speak to us. That was Emma Flynn from the class of 2014. Lauren Roy, her classmate, says, the class is more student-driven than others, and I like that we have more writing assessments rather than tests. So when a kid says they like that there's more writing, you know that we're doing something right. Lastly, Alice Pena says, I really like the open mind IB encourages and the oral aspect that forces you out of your shell. So they know that they've been challenged to communicate, to express, not just memorize. It's project-based, it's assessment-based, it's a 2-year program, it's not just one test at the end of the experience. And because it's a 2-year curriculum, you have a lot of in-depth learning that happens. Finally, for why it's great now, we have excellent faculty in our IB program, and they attend trainings and workshops so that they can teach at the top of their professional abilities and bring that to your students every day. What's good about this for the future? How is this going to benefit them when they look towards college? Because that's our next big milestone after we get them through their first day of high school. College admissions looks very favorably on IB work. whether the student has pursued IB work in their high school. Colleges love it. One admissions officer from MIT said this about it: "Send us prepared students a la IB. It is the best high school prep curriculum an American school can offer." On top of that, many colleges offer scholarships and dual credit, just like they do for the APs if you score at a certain level. So, I think I've given you enough information about something that's going to happen 2 years from now for your students. Please help me welcome Raleigh Landeros, Chief Information Officer.
Good evening, thank you. And I have, I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible, and I know a lot of parents are going to have quite a few questions at the end. The biggest thing I can say is parents that are new to having their children have technology, if you're used to having them with their phones, their iPads are not that much different. So we're becoming a technology-centered world. The school is going to be as innovative as possible, and we're going to push the envelope. How you choose to manage your child with their iPad, there's a couple of things that I'm going to give you some suggestions that will help ease this transition. Because as freshman parents, you're going to see a big change when your children start to use their iPads collectively with their students. I'll give you one case in point. Some of you may or may not know sometimes we may block some programs or apps from the website, or from the students accessing the internet. Well, we decided to block an app last year that we just felt like it wasn't appropriate, it wasn't really necessary. And within 20 minutes, the students found a way through Instagram and through chat and through other ways how to get around it. That's not uncommon. As a matter of fact, that's very common. The most important thing you could have is a conversation with your child on what is really happening with their iPad. They're going to find every single way, they're going to collectively work around any firewall or security area have. But the best thing we can do is to do what we started with this program. We wanted to keep it open. Your children are going to make mistakes, but they're also going to learn from their mistakes. We're also going to learn on where they're going. And a lot of that is really that learning process. And for you as a partner, we need your help. And by doing that, it's just going to make it a better environment for them to learn. A couple of things that I need to talk about. Number one, our office in the technology office is actually in the library in the back. So if you ever need any help, you could either find myself, again, my name is Mr. Landeros, or you could also reach our technology coordinator. Her name is Mrs. Schomer. She's also available there almost all the time. Our website is gocathedral.com/technology. Pretty simple. So if you need anything or information, that's pretty much where we update all of our stuff for technology. Type of iPads, we recommend that you always get the latest possible iPad that you can purchase. Currently, we recommend the iPad 4, 32 gigabyte. If you currently have a family iPad or an iPad that you want to give to your children, as long as it's an iPad 2 or greater, that'll work just fine. All of our teachers currently still have iPad 2s, 16 gigs, and they're working just fine. We recommend a little bit more storage because come second semester, your children will be using a lot of video and a lot of pictures. And although 16 gigs is enough for them, 32 gives them a little bit more room. But if you stay with the latest and greatest, that's always going to be the best and recommended. If you do end up giving your iPad to your child, let's say you use one from work, the one thing we just want you to know is we do install some management software on the iPads, and that does help us manage and push apps and books to the iPad. Sometimes that will cause a conflict if this is say an employee iPad that you have. We can only have one type of software that manages the iPad. So we recommend that whatever iPad you give your child, quite honestly, they're going to own it. They're going to be using it so much that you're really not going to have a chance to get it back. So just know that that's really going to happen. Also, don't fret of what's the next iPad. Apple tries to release a new iPad every 18 months. And depending on what that is, it's a combination of what new hardware they release versus what new software they release. Next week, Apple's going to have a developers conference. They're going to release their newest operating system for the iPad. That's going to push to have new features. Well, those new features are really geared towards newer hardware. So over a certain time, those things make a difference of what your child wants to have. We will always tell you what's important. Just because it's a new feature doesn't mean it's required. An iPad 1, believe it or not, still works very well for reading books. But an iPad 1 doesn't have a camera, so we need, students need that in order to take that for videos or pictures for class. So just keep an update, and always if you have a question of what type of hardware, please don't hesitate. We'd be more than happy to ask. Care for your iPads. Every student should have a cover. We also recommend, like you have on your, say, your table, your kitchen table at home, or if you have a child, they have those corner bumper stops. Children that break their iPads, it's always going to be on the corner. So if you have something that protects those little corners, they're relatively inexpensive and they can be found online. Or recommend to get an outer box that really allows you to drop it. I personally have an outer box because I do drop my iPad, and it has saved me numerous times. And unfortunately, we have had children that broke their iPads, and it's for two reasons. Number one, they haven't had adequate care, or it's just by accident. When your freshmen come in, their backpack, they play sports especially, please make sure they're careful of where they put their iPad in their backpack or their sports bags, because what do they do when they come home and they have their backpack or their iPad? They throw it on the floor. Well, that smashes the iPad, and last year that happened with quite a few students where they broke their iPad in the glass case. So please make sure that you're making sure that they're being conscious of what's happening with their iPad. If they do have a keyboard, that's great. It's not recommended, it's also a personal choice. Especially for English, English teachers like for students to have a keyboard because they're going to be able to type and write a lot faster. But just like your children are incredibly fast texting on their phone, they adapt to typing on the keyboard. Me personally, I actually prefer not having a keyboard. But it's up to your child, so I would recommend giving them the option and letting them see how that goes. If they want a keyboard, you could always upgrade to a keyboard. A keyboard case right now runs about $45 versus a standard case can run $30 to $40. So there's not much of a difference, but sometimes a keyboard can be a little bit more, it can get in the way because you can't separate the two. Warranty versus insurance, this is a big one. This year, we kind of partnered with a program called the Worth App Group on our website. It does give you the options, it kind of gives you the details of the differences between warranty from Apple versus insurance. If you purchase the extended warranty from Apple, it does cover for 2 incidents of damage protection for a $50 deductible, but that's only within the warranty years, which is 1 additional year of the standard warranty, so that's only 2 years. The Worth App Group, which again is available on our website with a direct link, it also includes a 10% discount if you go through that link. Allows you to get in the same type of coverage, but protects against any type of damage, including loss or theft. So if it's water damage, if it's breakage, if it's stolen, it doesn't matter. You get to choose not only the how many years of coverage you want to have, but the type of deductible. The types of deductible are 0, 25, 50, and 100. And that will all vary depending on the type of iPad you have, the years of coverage you want to have, and the deductible. So I do encourage families to seriously think about that, because we were a little surprised at how many kids actually did damage their iPads. iBooks, iTunes, and apps. Your child needs to have their own iTunes account, and let me kind of go into details of that. More specifically, they need to know what the password is. I know some family members they want to share their own iTunes account, and that's perfectly fine. I do encourage families to share iTunes accounts. It allows you to share apps, so you don't have to purchase the apps twice. But your child needs to have that password, because there's going to be some classes where a teacher is going to ask them to download an app right in class, and they're going to do that. If you prefer not to have your child know the password, then we recommend that you allow your child to have a free iTunes account. A child can have their own free iTunes account that's not attached to a credit card, but if you want to control the purchases, you could just give them iTunes gift cards, and then they could redeem those gift cards as opposed to having a credit card attached to it. Regardless, who is ever the owner of the iTunes account, for any app, book, or music, or download, the owner receives a receipt of that download. So as a parent, you're going to know what they're buying, if it's music or anything. So that's something to make sure you have an open conversation with them about what's best for them. Power School, as Mrs. Ford indicated, we are responsible for allowing your kids to actually access their grades as well as you. Unfortunately for the summer, for just the freshman year, incoming freshman parents that have students in summer school, you actually will not get your account until the fall. And the reason for that is we want to avoid confusion for just the incoming freshman parents of how to access our website. Unfortunately, we have 2 different websites, one for summer school and one for the fall. your account now, you just have to redo it all over again in the fall. All of your children will have their accounts in the fall. Students that are taking health or modern technology, they receive their login accounts for PowerSchool. Students that are in just PE for the summer school, they did not. But you can always send an email to the teachers if you want to know what their grades. So again, modern technology and health students for the summer, they receive their accounts and they can show you access how they can get into their grades. If you don't want to go to the students, just email the teacher directly and they'll be able to access their grades or send you the grades. You will receive the week before school starts your login account and information for PowerSchool. That should be, I believe, August 1st. So whatever that date is on that August 1st, you're going to receive an email from us saying, okay, here's your registration. If you already have an account, you don't have to get a new account. You use your existing account and you just add your other child to PowerSchool. Last thing I want to talk about is a simple thing, just parenting your children with your iPads. Make sure that you engage them. That's the most important thing. What are they learning with their iPad? What apps, what's their favorite app? Have them be the teacher for you. You will be surprised. Remember, these kids learn more in 2 weeks from each other than we will learn in a year by ourselves. So talk to them. You'd be surprised. They love being the teacher. So have them show you what they like, what they don't like, what areas may be some questionable. Until you have that conversation with your child, then that's the areas where they're going to go. Because realize they're going to go in areas, they don't have a fence. You as parents have to know where they're going and following them. Besides being engaged in their digital lives, there's another thing that we as a school, we have a program called OpenDNS. It's a service that protects the internet in your home. Your children are going to have other children that may come to your house and they will want to get on your wireless and in your house. Realize that then you are responsible for the type of internet activity they have when they go to your house. OpenDNS, which again is available on our website, is a free service for parents that allows you to restrict the type of internet access you want to have and you get to control it. And there are varying levels, but the free service does block from inappropriate sites. If you want to get more information from that, please visit our website, and then that will give you some more information on how to protect not only your child, but the friends that they come over. So that way, when you have relationships with those parents, you can say that it's okay, they're protected here. The last thing is, if you have not noticed, we also have an open Wi-Fi network on our campus. We have a lot of parents that are waiting for your children when they're at home. If you want to come here and do some work and access our internet, you're more than welcome to. It's CHS Public, so on your phones or on your laptops or your iPads, you're more than welcome to use our Wi-Fi. It's just one of the things that we want to encourage family use here at Cathedral High School. Again, thank you very much. I will be available in the back for more questions. I'd like to introduce Jim McGlynn, our Director of Athletics.
Good evening and welcome. There were 2 pieces of information out in the lobby that you might want to grab if you have an interest in athletics at Cathedral High School. The first is the brochure, which is actually an overview of our entire athletic program. And the second is the green sheet, which has all the contact information for all of our head coaches and the athletic department personnel. My name is Jim McGlynn, and I recently completed my 39th year as an employee of Cathedral High School. Tonight, I am the Director of Athletics at Cathedral, and come Monday, I'm moving to a different position as the Vice President of Operations. So tonight I'm your AD, and on Monday I'll be your operations guy. So an overview of athletics at Cathedral High School. We do feel that we have something for everyone as far as athletics down in the athletic department. This past year we had 931 of our students participate in one or more sports teams at Cathedral High School. We have 28 different IHSA and club sports. There are 69 teams at 3 different levels in those. We have 18 of those boys and girls sports that have a no-cut policy. The best example I can give is our girls cross-country team this past season had 115 young ladies participating in cross-country. So you don't have to be a superstar athlete to participate in athletics at Cathedral High School. Some of our sports are a little more intense than others, and we can attest to that if you look at the back wall of the Welch Activity Center over there. So we view participation in athletics as just a part of the holistic education that a child receives here at Cathedral High School. We do know that there are many life lessons that are learned in the locker rooms, on the playing fields, and on the courts that you may not get in the classroom. And sometimes those life lessons are just as important or more important than some of the things that go on academically. So, if your son or daughter would be interested in athletics, the best way to get started is refer to the green information sheet, make contact with the head coach in the various sports that you think that there may be an interest. I believe the best way to communicate with our coaches over the years is through email, but we've also put their office phone numbers on there. A little hint, they tend to return emails quicker than they do phone calls, so that's my plug on that line. I do want to thank you for selecting Cathedral High School. I'm obviously pretty biased about this place, but I think you have selected the greatest Catholic American high school for your sons and daughters. So thank you once again. I'd like to introduce Ms. Charlene Witka, who is our Director of Campus Ministry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As Mr. McGlynn said, I'm Charlene Witka, and I'm the Director of Campus Ministry. And I'll be starting my 14th year at Cathedral. And I, too, was a freshman parent 3 times. All 3 of my children truly enjoyed their experience at Cathedral. And my husband and I firmly believe that Cathedral was the right school for our children. We live in Noblesville, Indiana. And so when my children came here, I really didn't even know where Cathedral High School was. We're not from the area. We're from the Gary area near Chicago. And so now I drive it every day, and truly, I think I can come here with my eyes closed. So those of you who are coming from a distance, it's truly worth it. In my role as campus minister, I will, along with my team, interact a lot with your students. There will be many opportunities over the 4 years for them to attend retreats, day of recollection, masses, and other sacraments. Here at Cathedral, we make every effort to honor and respect children coming to us from a variety of world, social, and faith experiences. We are very fortunate here at Cathedral to have 2 chaplains. We have Father Munchauer, who is a graduate of Cathedral and was a pastor at many of the parishes here in Indianapolis. He represents the Archdiocese of Indianapolis. And we also have Father John Zahn, and he represents the Lafayette Diocese. Father John will be starting his 3rd year, and just if you ever see him, just know that I am taller than him. He doesn't believe it, but I am. The campus ministry department also includes, I have an assistant campus minister. Her name is Mrs. Sarah Arotas. She will not be with us at the beginning of the year because she's expecting her first child, and the baby is due July 7th. And I have Mrs. Sharon Kaminska, who is taking her place until she returns to us. I also have an administrative assistant to service outreach, which is Mrs. Shannon Fox, and she's right back there. And Shannon is a mother of 5 children. Her last child is going to be a junior next year here at Cathedral, and she is a graduate of Cathedral also, and just loves Cathedral, and Mrs. Aratas is a graduate too. We offer a Mass and Communion service daily. I believe it's still going to be at 7:30 this year in our Providence Chapel located in Kelly Hall. Please visit that chapel. We feel it's a beautiful chapel in a very special place here on campus. We will also offer a Mass on a rotating basis during the school days. We don't times will be posted in the parent email. We encourage and invite our parents as well as students to attend these liturgies. If you're dropping off your student and you want to come to Mass in the morning, please feel free to come. The Masses are only half hour because the students and our teachers who come to Mass do have to get to class. And so I think it would be well worth your time to celebrate with us. We also invite you to come to any of our liturgies here at school. We have a liturgy at least once a month or a prayer service for the whole school, and all students, faculty, and staff are required to be there. If you would like to make an intention, a special intention for a loved one, you can schedule that with my assistant, campus minister, Mrs. Arotas, and you can either email Mr. Worland, myself, or even email Sarah, and we will definitely honor that. There is a cost of $10, and that $10 is not given to our priest, but it is put in what we call an angel fund for any student or family that may need a little assistance on down the road in any type of an emergency. Every morning we start our day with morning prayer, and it is prepared by our faculty, staff, and students, and we end each day with a blessing from Father John. Also, as campus minister, we coordinate all the retreats, which include freshman retreats, sophomore, day of recollection, junior and men's overnights, and senior retreat, Christian Awakening. And as I said, we have liturgies about once a month as a whole school. It's a really interesting experience. Y'all come at least once to experience it. It's really special. Our campus ministry offices are located in the Student Life Center in the Commons, and they are open to students early in the morning. I get here usually by 7 o'clock, or late afternoon, or even in the evenings. It's really not uncommon to see many students coming to just hang out or to chat before and after school or during their resource periods. One thing we always have in campus ministry is candy, because we all know they need a little bit of nourishment through the day. Sometimes they just come for the candy, and I say, hey, that's okay, at least they're in there. Campus ministry is also in charge of our service outreach program, and I told you Mrs. Fox is our administrative assistant. Our service procedure and service forms are available tonight, and Mrs. Fox will be around, and myself, to answer any questions you might have. If you go on our website, you will see under Faith and Service, you will get even a more detailed information about our service component. We also have another very active group of parents called Moms in Touch. Some of you may have heard of it. It's an international program. It is a group of women who come together to pray for the needs of the school. And how special it is that they're able to come to actually our school in the chapel to pray. I belong to it as a parent, and my children were at Noblesville, and we had to meet in homes. And so how special that is for them to be able to do that. We feel prayer over our faculty, staff, and students and parents and alum is very important, and we would like you to be involved if you can. Our chairperson this year is Mrs. Ann Cummings, and she, if you're interested, there's a sign-up sheet that I got her down here a little bit late, so please stop and sign up if you're interested outside the theater in the lobby. To end, we believe in campus ministry that our mission is to make God known, loved, and served. Our recent reaffiliation with Holy Cross has bridged our past, present, and future, and we are committed to living out the charisms of faith, family, option for the poor, educating the hearts and minds, hope, zeal, and inclusiveness. Therefore, I say to you, from the bottom of my heart, our doors are always open to you and your students. Thank you, God bless, and have a great summer. I would now like to introduce Kathy Song, Vice Principal for Student Contact.
talking about discipline. Maybe they'll flow together at some point. But I too welcome you to Cathedral High School. My name is Kathy Song, and I oversee all the discipline in the school. My title is Vice Principal for Student Conduct, and I'm completing my 11th year at Cathedral High School. I too have 3 children, and I have a daughter who graduated last school year, who attends University of Dayton. I have a senior son that will be returned to Cathedral High School, and I am partners with all of you in that I'll have a freshman son coming in this next school year. So I'm excited to be with all of you and hope to get to know all of you much better throughout the next 4 years. So we are all in for 4 fantastic years, for sure. And why is that? Well, at Cathedral High School, we truly, truly believe in human connections. We value relationships. James Comer said, no significant learning can occur without significant relationships. I think everyone in this room has been affected by a teacher, a coach, or a school administrator. And we owe all of you and your children, a champion in every classroom, in every hallway, in every office in this building. And there won't be a person that will give up on your son or daughter through the next 4 years. We will insist that they become the best that they can be. And when they walk across that aisle in 4 years to receive their diploma, they will have grown so much in the next 4 years. But it won't be without mistakes. So, as Mr. Emery and Liz Bradshaw did for the IB, I'm going to ask for some participation. So, if you never made a mistake in high school, please stand. Okay, so turn to your neighbor and tell them what the worst thing you did was. All right, so we will have audience participation. The truth is that kids don't learn from people that they don't like, and so it's really important, again, the human relationships and the bonding that we want to have with your children. Certainly we have a handbook, a blue book, and so, you know, in many schools you might hear the dean of students come up and start talking about, you know, page 10, your student needs to do this, that, and the other thing, and here's what's going to happen if they do this, that, and the other thing. That's just not how I work here at Cathedral. You hopefully will take the time to go through the blue book. The teachers on the first day of school will go through some of the rules in the handbook, and it's very important for you to know the blue book. So I encourage you to know all the rules in the blue book. But the truth is that I need you to know a couple of really important things instead of every single rule that we have here. We do have high expectations in and out of the classroom, and students do want and need boundaries, as you know. But the most important advice that I can give you after being in schools for 25 years, Catholic schools for 25 years, is the most important thing is that you know who your child is hanging around with. That is the most important thing. What we have done as parents for 14 years, I'm assuming the children are 13, 14, some might be 15 years old coming in this next school year. What we have done in our homes to build that character, and to build the integrity, and to build the honesty, can be taken away by negative peer influence. And so, as you know, these students are coming from all over. It's so important that you take the time to meet your children's friends, new friends, and their families. You know, we kind of run sometimes countercultural here at the Cathedral, and there's that in your mind kind of answer this question, I just want my child to be, and most of us say, happy. That's not the right answer. The right answer really is, I just want my child to be ethically and morally good. And if they're ethically and morally good, they are happy. And so think countercultural sometimes. Think a little bit outside the box. You know, just giving them everything they need, they may be happy. That's not going to always end up with the result that you want. Some of the things, you know, again, going through the day and the handbook and all the rules that we have, some of the important things that I want you to know, parties. They're socially wanting to get involved. They want to be liked. They want so badly to be liked by all their peers. And so, the word party is going to come up. My children never asked me to have a party. I don't know why. I don't think anybody would come to my house. I'd be happy to host one. We have a really good time. But you should have a party. My church goes. I will probably call you and ask if you're going to be home. And I'll probably call and ask you if I can bring anything. That's usually a nice way to start that phone call and let you know that my child's coming, especially if they're possibly going to come over and stay overnight or something like that. It's really important to communicate and to actually go to that home and meet those people. And that's a great way to start getting to know your children's friends. But if your child asks you, sometimes they push you and sometimes they tell you that they're going to have a party, your answer is no. If you have a party, you are asking for so much possible danger to you, your family, your home. It's just not a good thing anymore. So I'm not saying not to have kids over and have friends over and have small groups over. Absolutely, we want that. We need that. The students, again, want to belong to a group, and so we need to do that. But as far as a party, with the social media, your small gathering of 10 to 12 to 15 students all of a sudden becomes 30 and then 50, and you're looking in your basement and these kids are crawling through basement windows, and there are kids from all over the city because they heard the word party. And so they come in and they walk in, with their water bottles, which again, you think in the olden days, a water bottle, that's great. No, the water bottle, unfortunately, could have vodka in it and things that you don't want in your home. And so it's a little bit scary, and being honest. And we have truly considered a family hosts a party, and they know that there's alcohol in their home, that maybe that parent and family should be invited back to Cathedral, because we need to help each other. And if you're not helping me raise my child and saying no and making sure you're on top of all this, then you're putting not only my child, but all these children and their families at risk. And just think if something should happen while the student's at your home, or they get in a car and they drive home with a possible sophomore, and so on and so on. So really think about a party and consider small gatherings, not parties. Sleepovers, same thing. To have a friend or two sleep over, great. But nothing good happens after midnight. True. When all the bonding and all the good friend making is pretty much concluded right about 11:59. After that, we all get, I guess, risky and start taking risks. Lights go out, the adults go to bed. And I don't know if I go to bed before midnight, but as soon as you are not around, then those students, just naturally, get a little bit more risky, and they take some challenges, and that's just normal for teenagers. So, picking them up, taking them home, you'll be so happy in the morning, and so will they. They may not act like it, but they will the next day when they hear some of their friends getting in trouble and nothing good happened that night. So consider that you limit the sleepovers. On weekends, surely you will find that your child all of a sudden becomes entitled, like they get to go out both nights of the weekend. Hey, everybody goes out both nights of the weekend. You're the only mom, you're the only dad in the whole world that makes me stay home. No, consider having your student do one night of the weekend doing a Cathedral event, whether it's going to a football game or a basketball game, a theater, a talent show, something Cathedral-ish, and a second night of the weekend, it's a family night. Consider just having some boundaries and some rules in place to begin with. Don't let issues become problems. And one of the things we know, and I'm not sure what Dr. Greer is going to talk about, but he's done a lot of work and research, and we know that one of the biggest reasons why students turn to drugs and alcohol is stress is the number one, and we certainly add to it here at Cathedral. We have high expectations in the classroom. There's so much, these kids come from all these different schools as number one in their class, the best athlete, the best student, the best, dressed, the best cheerleader, the best. So they come here and they're really struggling because we all still can't be the best, and so we socially, kind of struggle and we push and push, and there's that kind of stress. And then there's, the stress that you have at home. And so we want to be careful what here, we want you to be in this club, and that club, and go to this retreat, and get all A's, and this and that. And so be careful and watch the stress level, because again, we know that stress is a big indicator for drugs and alcohol. But one of the second ones, and after being in discipline for so many years and talking to students, sometimes your students just say it doesn't matter, because if I have just an issue, my parents make it a problem, and they don't stop and they don't let up. So they're going to yell at me anyway. And so if I just got in trouble for disrespecting a teacher, or not calling them, or coming home late, and they nag and they don't let it go, I'm going to get in trouble anyway. So I chose to drink. It's really important that you give them the consequence that they deserve for the issue. Again, it's not a problem, so don't let it become a problem of the alcohol. But the natural consequences in high school speak so much louder for any consequence you can give them at home. And you will see as that plays out, that the natural consequences take care of things. So let them make mistakes, let them fail, let them get cut from a team, help support them, and then love them up, hug and a kiss, and carry on and let it go, and let them move on to the next thing in their life. You will feel often that your students don't hear you, that they don't respect you, but they do. Talk to us and let us know what's going on. We have, sports, I attest to this, we have so many times when our students are really struggling in the classroom, and we are just nagging them in the classroom too. You didn't turn your homework. You're not participating in class. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. 2 or 3 weeks goes by, and we learned a couple weeks ago that their family had a crisis. Maybe there's a divorce in the family, or they're having to move due to a foreclosure, or a business. Their dog died. And the parents at home go, I didn't know if I should tell anybody, or my child told me not to tell anybody. Please don't follow that rule. Let us know. They get into a funk because of whatever, or they broke with their boyfriend or their girlfriend, and they don't want us to know. If you tell us, we can help them. That's what we're here for. We're here to help them. And so we want to help. So what do we expect from you? Honesty, involvement, communication, outstanding role modeling, support. I talk about honesty and the charisms and the things that we are trying to follow here at the Cathedral. We need you to do the same thing. So if there's an issue, like an attendance issue, and you overslept, or they overslept, and you call the front office and you make up some crazy fib, your student's hearing that. And so they're like, well, you're not being honest, and so maybe I wasn't honest last night about where I was. So make sure that you do all those important things. Support the dress code, support the things that we're asking you to do. Don't let them walk